Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for the grad and professional school application process. So we're going to talk about the general application process. And if you have any questions whatsoever about your particular school or professional school application process, we can discuss that later. So first of all, we have Career Center pre-med resources available to you. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna share it back in because I Okay, so you have resources for you online, pre-help at UCLA. The Facebook page is not live at the moment, but we may restore it. It was not a lot of traffic on it. You also can request counseling workshops. So counseling, and you can attend workshops. So counseling sessions are offered in person and virtual. Pre-health drop-ins are only virtual, and the workshops can be either in person or virtual. So you have full access to the Career Center services. Then we have newsletters and recorded workshops like this will be on the YouTube channel. But the newsletter, if you are interested in receiving newsletters, you can sign up. If you are interested in healthcare, I suggest you sign up for the healthcare newsletter, and you will be receiving it fall, winter, spring, every other week, and during summer when we have anything to communicate to you. So now let's talk about application process. So what you need to consider before you apply. So you need to ask a few questions to yourself, and also you need to do a little bit of research. It is very important that you think about your reason, purpose for applying to grad and professional school. You need to know what is the goal, the overall goal for your professional career. You also have to kind of think about whether this is the right time for you to apply. And of course, what are some of the programs that you might be interested in to pursue. You also have to think about who you are as a person and how that graduate school will fit into your overall life, not just your professional career goals, but what will it do for you as a person. Evaluating personal and professional goals can be a little bit daunting because you don't always know what your life may look like as an adult. I mean, you are just going to go out in the world of work if you decide to do that, or graduate school, it's a little bit different than undergrad. So just take stock in what you have done so far and where you want to be. It's like a little bit of a life planning also. Conduct your research to determine whether applying is the right decision for you. Again, it's time commitment, it's a financial commitment, and it does not necessarily have to happen right after your graduate program or your undergrad schools. You can take gap years if that makes more sense to you. Don't feel pressured that you need to do it right after undergrad. If you decide to do that, if you decide to go directly into a graduate or professional school, you have to start thinking about how to build a strong profile. And then, of course, we are talking about strong GPA. If you have an entrance exam like the MCAT, the DAT, the GRE, the LSAT, if you want to go to law school, you need a high score on those exams as well. Gaining relevant experience is very important to almost any graduate and professional school. So once you decide what careers you might be interested in, try to gain some relevant experience. It can be research, clinical, leadership experience. those are all great for grad and professional schools. While while in your undergrad, try to engage in meaningful extracurricular activities, not just because you want to gain relevant experience, but also you want to make sure that you build a network, that you connect with people, that you surround yourself with people with the same goals as yours, because that's going to be your support system as well. Try to engage in activities that promote personal and professional growth, meaning it takes you out a little bit of your comfort zone, because that's where a lot of growth happens. Then, of course, you will need letters of recommendations no matter what grad or professional school you're going to be applying for. So start thinking about who might be good letter writers for you in the future. Every graduate or professional school will require either a personal statement or a statement of purpose, or if you're going for a PhD, maybe even a research statement. So you're going to have some writing to do. For those of you who are interested in medical school, I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of some of the things that might be, false myths out there. So you don't need to be a science major to go to med school, or PA or dentistry or any of the health professions. You can be humanities major as long as you take the prerequisite courses, in this case, the pre-med coursework, before applying. You're going to be just fine applying to medical school or any other health profession program. Rigor of the major will be taken into consideration as far as medical school goes. So if you're a neurosci or MCDB major, it's probably going to looked upon differently if you are as if you would be a non-science major. Many medical schools and other grad and professional schools as well operate on what they call rolling admission basis, which means that it is highly recommended to apply early. The earlier you apply, the better, because if the rolling admissions means that they review applications as they get them and they fill their seats as they go with the application process is going. Plan B. So there is always a good idea to have a plan B, because things sometimes don't work out. So what is your plan B? Maybe a post-bac program, maybe finding a job, maybe doing a research program. You also have to think about whether you want to reapply next year. And if the answer to that is yes, what can you do to strengthen that application profile in that gap year that now you will be taking? What is a post-bac program? So we talked a little, so I mentioned post-bac program in the previous slides, and some of you who might be interested in med school, dentistry, or anything healthcare related, you might be familiar with this term. But the post-bac program is a certification or a degree program. Some of them give you a master's degree that students can enroll in after completing your undergraduate degree, and they intended for aiding your transition from undergraduate to graduate level education, and to help you prepare for careers in medicine or other healthcare related, mostly healthcare related professions. And they also give you a great way to enhance your academic records before applying. So if you think that your GPA is not competitive, those are a post-bac program might help you fix that. On the types, so you have academic record enhancers, you have career changers. There are post-bac programs for underrepresented groups, disadvantaged groups, special masters, and then of course, if you're interested in osteopathic medicine, you may find osteopathic post-bac programs as well. So if you decide that you're no longer interested in applying, then you need to start again considering what your plan B is. So career options related to your major, your interest, and your existing skill set. So what you have learned in the 4 years or 2 years at UCLA, what are some of the skills that you enjoy using, and what careers are a good match for that. When you want to research career options, you have tons of opportunities online to do that. ONET Online, Occupational Outlook Handbook, both great websites to get started with on how to, to understand a little bit better your career options. You can also conduct informational interviews with professionals in those professions because that is always a great way to learn the ins and outs and the daily routines of someone in a profession that you don't know much about, but you are interested in. To find professionals to speak with, you can utilize UCLA One, which is our alumni network, and also LinkedIn. Hopefully everybody has a LinkedIn profile, and if you don't, please come to the Career Center because we do have it's called Iris Boot. You can take a photo and we can walk you through the steps on how to create a LinkedIn profile. You will need it. The actual application process. So if you decide to move forward with applying, you have to think ahead, you have to plan ahead. So keeping your GPA strong is the number one objective because fixing a GPA once you pass once you are in junior or senior year, it becomes harder and harder because you have less and less courses to take, and the ones that you will be needing to take is going to be gradually more difficult. So make sure that if you have graduate school or professional school aspirations, that you put a great focus on keeping a strong GPA. That means if you feel like you're struggling in a class, please make sure you reach out to your TAs, your professors, take a look at all the resources you have available on campus, tutoring, anything that can help you succeed in your classes. If you're struggling in a major, remember, majors are not necessarily connected to a certain graduate program. So if you think you could do better in a different major, please speak with your academic advisor, ask their opinion about what it would be like to switch into a different major where you can be more successful and probably even more interested in the topic matter. Study and take the entrance exams if you need one. So GRE has been required in almost all or in for many graduate programs. COVID changed that. A lot of the graduate programs no longer have GRE requirements. Professional schools, of course, are very different. All medical schools require the MCAT. All dentistry schools require the DAT. So you need to make sure that you are aware of the exams that are required for your specific program. If you are interested in medical school, you may know already that beyond MCAT, now medical schools starting to ask for situational tests like the preview or the Casper. So again, you need to make sure that you are aware of all the requirements of the programs you are interested in. Start gathering documents for the application. So once you know where you want to apply, you will know what are some of the things that you will be needing in order to complete your application. So what is the requirement in terms of letters of recommendation, personal statements, what do you need to write, or what do you need to submit? They may ask for a resume or a CV. So start gathering those documents. Transcripts for sure. So again, you can have your unofficial transcripts just to kind of have an understanding of the coursework you already have completed and what may be still need to be completed, but at some point before the application, you will have to request official transcripts from the registrar's office. So LORs, letters of recommendation. The earlier you decide on wanting to pursue graduate or professional school studies right after undergrad, the more chances you're going to have to develop great relationships with faculty. So let's say you decide in your sophomore year, beginning of your sophomore year, that you want to go into a professional school or you want to go into graduate school. You will have the full sophomore, junior, senior year to kind of connect with professors and figure out who would be good letter writers. If you did and it's given that if you decide later in your academic career, your options will decrease. So in terms of faculty, you want to ask, so for medical school in particular, you want to have science and non-science professors as well, but some professional graduate programs may be a little bit more flexible about the resource of your letters. So again, you need to make to research your program and make sure that you understand the requirements in terms of who should be writing you letters, how many letters you should be collecting, and what is the timeline for that, for your program. If you're employed, sometimes when students have even part-time or part-time employment for period of time, they have great relationship with their managers, supervisors, so they may ask a letter from that person. If you are an athlete, coaches are great resource for letters. If you have great mentors, professionals, they could be good letter writers as well. And we do have resources available to assist you with the process, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later. So, steps. Identifying schools and programs might be a very good first step when it comes to graduate school. When you're applying to med school, this might become a little bit later in the process. But if you're not sure where to apply or where to or what type of programs you might be interested in, probably doing an initial research and identifying some of the schools and programs is where you can start. Once you decide, of course, that you're going to move on with your application. Creating a school list might be the next. Researching program requirements. So once you know where you want to apply, you're going to have a starting point how to research the requirements. Then you can start gathering materials, take the necessary tests if you have any, and solidify your application timeline. Again, the timeline will depend greatly on the graduate programs you're going to be interested in, because the timeline can be very, very different for depending on what you're applying to. So, but starting early, regardless of where you apply, is probably going to be a great benefit to you, because it's going to give you more time to prepare and polish your application. So application for PhD programs are typically between November and early January. The most common deadline is December 1st. But again, there could be some differences between schools and programs. So again, you need to be familiar with the deadlines. Master's programs tend to hit in January, February, March. And then, of course, medical school, dentistry, PA, those are spring, summer applications. So being familiar with your field, being familiar with the schools and the programs you want to apply to, it's extremely important to be able to create the timeline. As I mentioned rolling admissions before, I want to stress it again. Applying early, it will increase your chances of being admitted to schools that are having rolling admissions. So, sample schedule for traditional graduate schools. So, in May, you can research schools, take the GRE or any other exam that you may need to if needed. Again, many schools dropped these requirements. They don't require it. And even if you take it, they're probably not going to take your score into consideration for your admission. June, July, August, the summer is to either take a test, work on your school list, asking for letters. So when you are dealing with faculty, you also have to think about what is their busy time. So, and that can be, and that can vary. So fall is usually busy because they are already starting their academic year. It's a new academic year. Usually it's a busy time for faculty. My personal experience is that summer, if they are not leaving on sabbatical or they don't have an extended vacation, is usually less stressful for faculty. And also winter quarter seems to be a little less high traffic time because again, spring is also close to graduation. So for whatever reason, fall and spring seems to be the busiest. September, finalize your school list, keep working on gathering application materials. October, if you haven't received those letters of recommendation that you asked for in the summer, you do need to send reminders to your letter writers because it's not their responsibility to remember that you need those letters. You are asking them a favor. It's your responsibility because it's important to you. So you need to make sure that you are reminding them. Then if you can visit prospective schools, you're going to spend, depending on what program we are talking about, 2 years for master's, 6 years for PhD, 4 years for med school. So quite a long time and a lot of money on your graduate and professional school experience. Make sure that it's the right fit. If you applying to local schools, please visit those campuses. If you're applying to out of state or something that's further and you just don't have the time to travel, try to see if you can do virtual tours, if you can speak to current students, if they have open houses. Spend some time getting to know the campus, the faculty, current students if possible, because you want to make sure that you end up at the right school in the right program. November, if you need to apply in the fall, then this is the really great time to have your personal statement finalized. We do review personal statements too. Show it to your mentor, to your friends, to anyone who can give you an honest feedback on these documents. And then, of course, November, December, you have to complete and submit your applications, verify that your recommendation letters have been sent. And then in January, you can focus on the money. So you can look into financial aid, loans, grants, fellowships. You can start thinking about how to finance your education. January through March, you might receive interviews to programs that do interviews, that interview top candidates. So hopefully we'll be receiving numerous interview invitations. You will attend them, and then you have to start the waiting game. So waiting for the decisions. By April, you should know whether you're in, and hopefully you got accepted to multiple of your programs, and you can celebrate those acceptances, and you can start thinking about where you want to attend school. Support services. So as I mentioned, we do have things that we have services, we have resources that can help you with this process. So virtual and in-person career counseling appointments, we help with resumes, personal statements, mock interviews, grad school planning, so timeline, anything you need support with, you can come to us for. Now, appointments, again, depending on what, so it's cyclical as everything else at UCLA. So we have busier times, we have not so busy times, and that's usually so we are busier at the beginning of every quarter. Then it becomes a little bit slower during midterms, then it picks up again, then it gets slower again towards finals. If you want to ensure that you get an appointment, please make sure that you are on your Handshake account between 2 and 5 on Fridays, because that's where new appointments for next week and the week beyond, usually we post for a week or 2 weeks out, become available. If you go onto your Handshake, let's say on a Wednesday, and you don't see any open appointments, the system probably will tell you that there are no appointments until June. That's not the case. The reason there are no appointments until June because they get released every Friday. So there will be appointments. You just need to make sure that you look on your Handshake account Friday afternoons. So virtual and in-person general drop-in hours. So we do have drop-in hours Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., 1 to 3 p.m. Those are only 15-minute sessions, so we try to limit the support that we can give you to things that can be tackled in 15 minutes. So resume, cover letter critique, job and internship search advice. We can also advise on how to prep for an interview, but we cannot really give you a full mock interview, for example, in 15 minutes. And then we have only virtual pre-health drop-in hours on Fridays, 12 to 1. That's the Zoom link. Those are specific to pre-health questions. So if you are a pre-med, pre-PA, pre-optometry, psychology, anything that's related to healthcare, you can drop in on Fridays to ask questions specifically for that. And then you can ask for mock interviews for grad school. So for that, you have to schedule either a pre-health or a general career counseling appointment through Handshake. And then when you come in, sometimes the option pops up for mock interview, but even if it doesn't, just schedule a general career counseling appointment or a pre-health appointment. And once you come in, you can request, or even in your notes, you can mention that you want to prep for a mock interview for, I don't know, PA school, for example. And then in 30 minutes, we can help you prepare for those interviews. We usually have a set of questions. You can do your initial research before you come to those mock interviews, and you can tell us which questions you want to practice, and then we focus on the things that you want to focus on. If you don't have a plan, or you don't know what you want to practice, then we can give you a set of questions based on the graduate program or based on the professional school, and we can prepare you for the interviews. You can set up as many mock interviews as you want in your during as long as you are a current student, and we're going to talk about alumni services in a minute as well. So there are no limits to that. And then, of course, we do personal statement critiques. Those are, again, you either set up a general career counseling appointment or a pre-health appointment, and you can bring in your personal statement and we can give you feedback. We do not help necessarily with the writing process. For that, as an undergrad, you can go to the Undergraduate Writing Center. And we do have several presentations. I'll show you at the end of this presentation of where those links are. And so we don't necessarily help with the writing process. We can help you brainstorm the ideas of what you may want to include. But these type of appointments are best used if you have a rough draft of your personal statement, and we can help you refine it. And again, there are no limits to these appointments. You can come back as many times as you need to. Then, of course, we have online resources as well. So UCLA One, it's our alumni network, where you can find mentors, or you can conduct the informational interviews if you decide to go in a different direction. And the online workshops and videos are on a wide variety of topics. You have full access to that. Even after graduation as an alumni, it's not, it's available to anyone. Then we do have a career guide, and the career guide also has a whole chapter on graduate and professional school applications, where we go through the general application timeline, and we also give basic guidance on personal statements and asking for LORs. The reason I say basic is because everything that has to do with personal statement or asking for letters of recommendation is based on a lot of variables. So we try to keep it as neutral as possible to apply for as many people as possible. Test prep resources. So we talked about whether you need a test, don't need a test. So again, the GRE you may not need for your programs, but there are programs that do require an MCAT entrance exam, like the MCAT, the DAT, the LSAT. So we do offer workshops and practice tests for all those 4 tests that you see there. So every quarter we have, I'm not exactly sure how often the LSAT is offered because I'm not the pre-law advisor, but I'm in charge of the pre-health programming. So the GRE, the MCAT, and the DAT. The GRE, the MCAT is offered every single quarter. The DAT is usually offered in spring. And we do have practice tests on all 3 of those. GRE, MCAT every quarter, DAT usually in spring. If you need assistance with a DAT earlier on, reach out to me. I connect you with the Kaplan or Princeton Review connections or partners that we work with to deliver these workshops, and they can give you support on that. Career exploration workshop series, we have at least 3 of them that I can think of. So the careers in, that is a little bit broader. It's biotech, data science, math, education, business, accounting, all sorts of different things in the careers in series. The Jumpstart and the Hidden Gems is only healthcare related. The Jumpstart series, we cover better known or more common healthcare careers. In the fall, I usually focus on public health and physical and occupational therapy. In winter, we do the PA and the post-bac. And in spring, we usually tackle dentistry, optometry. In the Hidden Gem series, we talk a lot lesser known career options in healthcare. So we have done many of those. And because this series started out during COVID, a lot of these were recorded and live now on our YouTube channel. So you're going to find hidden gems in healthcare on genetics, nutrition, audiology, medical dosimetry, cardiac perfusion, sports and wellness, medical devices, and the list goes on and on. I really enjoyed doing that series because it opens up the opportunities for students to learn about fields they never heard about. So if you are still in search of a fitting career, that might be an interesting one to watch. And then, of course, some of you may be graduating in June. And so I thought it's good to know, good to let you know of all the things that we're still going to provide you. So you're going to have full access post-graduation to Handshake, 1 full year. And for the first 3 months, you have full access as you would be a current student. You can even, which means that you can also schedule one-on-one advising. So that would be until September. After that, the one-on-ones can no longer be scheduled, but you still will have access to certain Handshake features. After the 3-year subscription, you will have an opportunity to renew for $30 for 6 months. And then, of course, we are all over the internet, so you can stay connected and stay informed through Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can and you can stay connected beyond your graduation. And I believe this is the end of my presentation. So thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. In the meantime, I'm gonna show you a few things that is, so on our Career Center website, it's a brand new website. When you go to undergraduate students, you're going to be able to see all the resources and services available to you. If you need specific information, we have specific information on MBA, pre-health, pre-law resources, and then you have a list of all the career resources here to you, job and internship opportunities. So you can definitely take advantage of the resources shared on our website. In addition to our website, I also mentioned our YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel looks like this. And if you put in, let's say, personal statement, you're going to be able to see all sorts of recordings on personal statement. If you put in grad school, you're going to be able to see recordings on grad school topics, and you can see hidden gems series. So honestly, you can find probably letters of recommendation. You can find informative webinars on a lot of the grad school related topics that we talked about. If you want to connect with alumni for whatever reason, UCLA One was the alumni platform that I mentioned in my presentation. You can create your own profile as a current student. Feel free to do so, and you can use this platform to connect with Bruins in all sorts of professions, careers, and find mentorship or just conduct informational interviews with some of them to get a clearer understanding of what the career or profession that you're thinking of going into may look like. Any questions? I'm going to stop the recording so we can actually talk about the questions you may have. Thank you again for being here.